another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchi, and thanks a lot for joining us. Elections are fast approaching. There's a lot that's going on in the country with regards to security or the lack of it. We've had some sort of hopeful report about a few more people who were kidnapped from the Kaduna train incident being released, hoping that a lot more would be going through that phase as well. But insecurity continues to be at the top of a lot of people's minds, and people are wondering if things are going to get even more intense or hopefully better when campaigns actually begin properly and there's a lot of activity around the country. There's a lot of worry about, government being distracted by the elections and campaigning and what that will mean for the average Nigerian. But we're going to be talking about, imagining a better Nigeria in our conversation today, and I'm joined now from virtually by the Senior Special Assistant on Research to the President, Somkele Awakalu. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Ebuka. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. I want to start with, I know you work in research, but that means you also have a lot of these numbers, hopefully, and data at your disposal, and just the state of the nation with regards to security and where we are. I think now more than ever we've realized that it's almost impossible to build a successful or progressive country without it being secure and safe. A lot of people believe that Nigeria is at its worst in decades with regards to security. Where is the head of the presidency at today, and what should Nigerians be hearing that should be keeping us going, if anything?
Okay, thank you, Ebuka. Because I'm not a security expert, but I'll come from an economic perspective. I think that fundamentally that the Nigerian citizenry and perhaps some people in the diaspora do not understand that even policymakers are human. So every conversation around security challenges, security risks, and every bad information that comes in is also affecting the policymakers. And on a daily basis, there are conversations amongst policymakers and advisors about how to ensure that everybody. I think that in terms of comparison, it will always be a subjective perspective. There's no way of getting an objective perspective in terms of, is this the worst? Has it been the worst? Don't forget that the country also fought a civil war. So in saying that this is the worst is perhaps not considering a lot of other indicators. However, that is not an alibi to say that things are in a good place. But I also want to point out something that I'm also going to have further down the line in the conversation is that essentially there's no trust. There's a lack of trust and a trust deficit between the government and the citizenry, which is one of the recommendations of Imagine Nigeria report, where there's a huge trust deficit or trust gap between the Nigerian citizenry and its government. I'm not here to apportion blame as to who's responsible for that trust deficit. However, there is a trust deficit such that when there is good information or news that should lift up the citizenry, we still bash that news. There's conversations around alleged arrest of alleged suspects that planned the Owo attack or that were part of the Owo attack or that housed the people that planned the Owo attack. And a lot of the conversations I've seen are around the names of people and were they in Kuje prison at this time? Is this really a true news? So that is also some of the problem that we have to contend with. I think in every interaction, you have to be able to look at yourself and then look at the other person and be able to find out where there are faults. So this is not an alibi. I think some policymakers and some politicians get sidelined with that blame game, but I think that there are efforts that are being made to secure lives and property. And I think where there is good news, we should definitely chime in and praise our security forces.
So I hear you completely, but you talked about trust and the trust deficit there, and that's definitely a huge factor with regards to how Nigeria is situated today. It's almost impossible for you to find a Nigerian who believes these days that there's sort of a proper connection between the Nigerians and Mr. President. And I think that's also one of the biggest issues. I hear you talk about, your work in research, you're talking about the effects of insecurity on the economy and all of that. There's a constant belief by Nigerians that Mr. President doesn't seem to know a lot of these things or doesn't seem to see what Nigerians are seeing or feel the same thing. Is it a case of people around him not letting him know or not doing their jobs? Or does he know and not seem to be as effective as he should be? Because whether we like it or not, 3 of his biggest promises as president when he was going to come in 2015 were security and the economy. And these are 2 things that have been the hardest hit in this government. It's hard for anybody to understand how his cardinal points have been, for want of a better word, completely ineffective.
Okay, so I'm not going to be boxed into those 2 perhaps mindsets. I'm going to try and answer the question as best as I can. I think that it's important to understand that Nigeria is at an inflection point. At no other point in time have there been challenges within Nigeria's border in more than 2 geopolitical zones. We can see what's happening in the southeast. We see what's happening in the northeast and the northwest. There are also issues with the south-south. There's only a finite number of personnel within the military parameters. But there's a lot of work that's being done in terms of developing our strength in personnel, developing our strength in equipment. And so, yes, so if you consider it as a fact, I know that people like to say, don't blame this person or don't blame that person. But as an economist, what we are taught to do is that when you're doing analysis, there has to be comparison. It's either a time series comparison or a cross-sectional comparison. So you can't just look at something in its own sense. In terms of the economy, of course, we know that there are contributions that crime and insecurity has on productivity, on safety. For instance, in the Southeast, for a long time now, I can't really put my finger on how long it's been, Monday is an unproductive day. That is a lot of money that is lost for persons. That's a lot of money lost in tax. So all of us, and that is not a federal government instituted sit at home, for instance. So I think that, again, are there areas of improvement? Of course, there are areas of improvement, but we need to also look at the areas where there have been some improvements. And for instance, if you look at some states in Nigeria, they were completely inhabitable, but there's been work that's done there. But the problem is that there are pockets of people who are thriving with the crime situation. They are hiding under certain banners. Oh, if this is happening, some people are just normal criminals, normal armed robbers, normal, I'm not saying normal, I'm saying that they are kidnappers, but they're hiding under the banner of banditry, or they're hiding under the banner of IPOB. So I think that we just need to be a little bit more sensitive. As a research person and as somebody who is an economist, I have to be careful to make complete assertions. I have to make sure that the data tallies with it and not to be too emotive.
So, I mean, it's hard for me not to ask you security questions, so I'm going to try and leave that. But, I mean, you mentioned the sit at home in the Southeast, and yes, I hear you. While it's not the federal government who instituted that, security is under the purview of the federal government, and you wonder how this has festered for so long, and the security agencies seem almost handicapped and can't sort of, be the arbiter here. Why do whatever you call them, bandits, terrorists, or whatever, seem to have the upper hand, and this is at home still persists when the federal government security forces can't counter that effect? But let's leave that. Let's go into the economy, which, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of talk about blaming, COVID and all of that. But Nigeria is not the only country that was hit by COVID. But we see what the inflation numbers are here. We also see what's happening with the Naira. Unemployment is unreal. You don't even need to see figures. You just drive around cities and you see how many people just seem to be standing on the streets doing nothing. It's literally in our faces. What you, as a research person, as an economist who works with Mr. President, what is the plan? Yes, we have less than a year to go, but what is the federal government thinking in this regard? Because we literally are sitting on a time bomb that will explode if nothing is done.
I think that the plan has always been the same plan. I don't think there are two critical issues over the last 8 years that have kind of put spanner in the works. COVID is a big one, as well as the oil crisis in 2016, 2017, which also led us into recession in both periods. But if you look at the COVID-19 pandemic, yes, it's something that has affected people differently, that has affected everybody in terms of the economic shock and the health risks and whatnot. But you have to look at structural vulnerabilities. There are certain countries that are not built the same way we are. They don't have the same institutions we have. So definitely you can't expect for everybody to be on an even keel when crisis occurs. I'll give you an example. If you look at the Bank of England and the Fed Reserve, they have a different way of looking at inflation. Their own inflation levels are different, such that in the UK, the Bank of England is targeting inflation of 2%. If you include inflation expectation, it's probably going to be about 2.2%. As at the last time I checked, inflation in the UK is 9.4%. Whereas in Nigeria, the central bank, I believe, not speaking for them, but I believe they'll be comfortable with 11%. But when it comes to inflation, inflation sometimes directly affects economic growth. So if you adopt a monetary stance to combat inflation, that comes at the expense of economic growth. So when the numbers come out and you see that the country is growing at 0.5%, you're also going to complain about that. This is not to say that 18.6% inflation is good or it's something that should happen. However, a lot of that inflation is imported. Energy prices are up, food prices are up. Food prices are up across the globe because there are issues going on in Ukraine and Russia. They have a substantial effect on grain prices. They also have an effect on fertilizer because some of the components of that fertilizer are mainly grown in those regions. There are a lot of countries that are collapsing now under the weight of the fiscal crisis that COVID-19 have brought on them, not to mention Sri Lanka. We have seen what has happened with Sri Lanka. So I think that there's a lot of effort that is going on in terms of trying to stem the tide of inflation, in terms of trying to reduce unemployment. Under the Economic Sustainability Plan, there were a number of direct initiatives that were targeting reducing unemployment because, yes, unemployment is high, but it could be higher. If you look at the amount of layoffs that could have been, the government instituted a program where they would pay certain small business owners salary for their staff for 3 months, which covers the 3 months where there was a lockdown. If that intervention had not occurred, there would have been a lot more layoffs. So a lot of work is going on behind the scenes in terms of empowering people, empowering entrepreneurs, empowering business owners to ensure that we definitely get the unemployment numbers down. But again, I'll reiterate that it doesn't mean that the efforts are totally sufficient, but work will continue to go on to identify the most vulnerable people, to identify people who are suffering, whether it's an ease of doing business issue, whether it's a tax issue. All these are being considered by policymakers, and I believe that we will see an uptick, a positive uptick in some of these numbers that are being thrown around.
Well, I hear a lot of behind the scenes, but everybody who's a Nigerian is in front of the scene and nothing seems to be felt, unfortunately, which is why everybody's complaining. And I don't know how long these things are supposed to last for. But the presidency of President Muhammadu Buhari has about 9 months left to go. In your words, as quickly as you can, a sentence or two if you can, is it possible to still imagine a better Nigeria under President Buhari in 9 months?
I think it's possible to. Okay, you said 2 sentences.
As quickly as you can.
Okay, it is possible because I know that there's a number of things that are going to crystallize within the next 9 to 10 months. Because sometimes there's a lag when you invest in something, unless you are looking for MMM or crypto that gives you you invest 5 naira today and tomorrow you get 1 million. Once you invest, there's always a lag time. And there are some things that have been done 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that are going to start crystallizing now. When you look at certain things in terms of, I know that this is not the question you asked me, but there are some in some quarters about the debt service and whatnot that's capturing a particular period in time. But now you can see that corporate taxes are going to come in, NLNG dividends have come in June. So when those numbers come out again, it's going to be marginally, it's going to be quite lower than the numbers that we saw for Q1.
All right.
In the next 9 months, I believe that there will be some positives. Whether it's going to be game-changing, I do not know that, but there will be some positives that we'll see right up to May 2023.
Well, thank you very much. We waited 7 years for these lags to crystallize. I don't know that many of them have. I don't know how much faith Nigerians can have in the next 9 months, but thanks for joining us, all right? All right, we'll take a break now and we'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the show. We're about to talk entertainment now, and I have a guest here who is someone you definitely know. You've heard his name a lot. Maybe you don't know what he looks like, but you're about to find out because he's in a very interesting transition. It's Young John. Producer, artist, what are you now?
Both. I'm Young John. I'm just.
You're no more the wicked producer. Did you take that out, the name?
No, I didn't take it out. It's part of who I am. That's me, you know. I'm just doing this now, but that's me still, you know.
Yeah. Fresh off performing on stage for the whole of the continent last week. But before we get into the transition, how did music start?
Well,
the music business for you?
Okay, well, I'll say it started like way back from when I was really young, because like my dad is a pastor. I grew up in the church environment.
Always moving from church to...
Yes, I always used to play the keyboard, the drums, all of that. So like music started really early for me. I just didn't know it would turn out to be this, but like music started really, really early for me.
Yeah. So were you playing in church?
Well, yeah, I used to like, I always wanted to, you know, we had instrumentalists and stuff, but I was always around them learning. And sometimes when they are not around, I play. But yeah, I played in the church a lot of times too, you know, the drums, keyboards, almost a bit of everything.
Yeah. So when did you take it seriously? When did you start taking it seriously?
Okay, so I took music seriously when around, I don't really know what year particularly, but like it was really, really way back, like in like 2011, 2010, you know, like even way before then I was making beats and all, but like I wanted to play football, you know.
Oh.
I wanted to play football. In my mind I was going to be a footballer, but like somehow I found myself in the studio, and that's it.
Yeah. That somehow is very important to me.
Yeah.
What was the first memory of you being in the studio? Okay,
so like basically, even while I was playing football, I used to rap with my brothers, you know. We used to, in school, secondary school, we rap and stuff. We had like a rap group, we all rap. So I was curious to how like music and instrumentals were made. So I asked one of my guys, and one of my guys introduced me to Fruity Loops. So I started using Fruity Loops, and I was the guy that was making beats for everybody.
Yeah.
Like this guy wants to rap, he'll be like, go and meet John. John, I can do, you know. So like that. I saw myself just going deeper and deeper unconsciously. While still in my mind, I was still doing my football thing, but like I was unconsciously going deeper into like music, producing, and all of that, you know. So that was it. Then when we got to school, I really didn't. I stopped because before I went to school, I used to always go to training and all of that. But then when I got to school, I stopped going to training. Then I met one guy. The guy was like, "Let's go to the studio. We're going to go to Lagos. We're going to go to the studio." Then I found myself in the studio. Then I stopped going to training. Then, you know, that was just it. Then
the switch up happened.
Yeah.
When will you say you had that song that's probably made you, you know, this Young John, the wicked producer? Or which artist?
I would say that was my first mainstream, like in quotes, mainstream production. That was Story for the Gods by Olamide. That was way back in 2014. You know, that was my first mainstream. Like it went, like it was everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How did you meet him?
Okay, so there's this studio when I came to Lagos in around 2012, 11, thereabout. There's this studio I used to work. It's Factory Studios. I basically used to live in the studio, sleep, wake, everything, eat in the studio. We're a lot in the studio, you know, just working and stuff. So Olamide used to come there with Fuse to come and record. We were recording this project back then, the First of All project, the YBNL project.
Yeah.
You know, so I was there when they recorded YBNL project, Baddest Guy Ever Lived. I was just always around the corner, you know, relating with everybody, like, because Fuse was my guy. I always used to come to the studio,
Yeah.
you know. So that was basically, but we never really did anything major till Story for the Gods. So.
Yeah. Awesome stuff, man. Did you ever have like a contract with YBNL? Because it seemed like that. Were you a YBNL guy, or did you just produce for them?
Like YBNL is like, it's family to me. How do I explain? You know, like I said, I was always in the studio. Then we started working. Then it just kind of became like a family thing. So we never really put like pen to paper. There was nothing contractual.
Yeah.
It was a family thing. I was so into YBNL, and I feel like they also did a lot for me, you know, like it was because I produced so many songs, and because of that, I'm where I am today.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. So like, I don't know how to explain. It was just a growth thing. We just kind of like, it just kind of worked. It just kind of clicked, and then
it's okay from there.
Yeah.
What do you think of producers and how they are sort of seen or paid in the industry? Because I hear a lot of complaints.
Well, I always tell everybody that this thing is not just a producer thing. It's life. How you carry yourself is how you be, you know. And I understand the fact that it's not easy for producers when you're trying to get placements, because you always need placements. You want to be this, you want to produce this. But like, I feel like the value you put on yourself is the value people are going to put on you, regardless of if you're a producer or an artist or an actor or whatever it is, you know. Because like, I mean, a couple of producers make good money. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying, I understand the fact, I know that like producers don't get that recognition yet, but I feel like even still, there's a kind of value you put on yourself, put on your work, and that value is what people will see. So me as a producer, when I was so into it, I really used to put value on my work. Like, because I know how much work I used to put in. So in my head, I'm like, if I'm putting so much work in, there has to be value for this, you know?
Yeah.
So.
How do you fix that though? Because I feel like it still happens.
Yeah, it still happens, but like, I feel like it's a journey, you know, it's in steps, you know. When you really want something, you do anything to have it, you know. Then probably when you have it, you realize that, okay, you need to level up, you know. So like, I feel like everybody just needs to go through their journey, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not only in production it happens. I think even in music, even in
writing, everything.
You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How old were you when you wrote, when you produced Story for the Gods?
I think I was about 18.
Yeah, because I know it was a big talking point back then. Like,
I
who's
think
this young guy that came out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Then you produced for a while. Remember, virtually every hit song then had your name at the start.
Yeah.
Then it seems like you went quiet for a bit. What happened?
So what happened is, like, you know, like I said before, I think at like different points in life, we all want different things. You know, so like...
Were you unhappy?
I won't say I was unhappy, but I mean, we can't always be happy at every time. I feel like there are unhappy moments. You definitely have your unhappy moments too.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like at some point, I really don't know, but like at some point, I just wanted different things. It's normal. Like, you know, like growing a lot of this, putting all your effort into this, then mentally you just want to be involved in love. Because I started really young, so I feel like I sacrificed so many things.
Yeah.
I didn't get to like enjoy, I don't know if I use the word enjoy, but I didn't get to involve myself in so many things that my mates, you know,
were doing.
So like I was not getting out more with people way older than me. So like I really missed out on all of that. So when it got to a point, I was trying to like unconsciously, you know, just trying to like balance it out, like focus on other things of life, family, you know, school. So like, yeah, so I felt like at that moment, the momentum kind of threw, yeah. So.
Yeah. Did you stop completely?
No, I didn't stop completely, but like I was just, at some point, I was just like not really into giving so much of my energy out.
Into
you know?
producing.
Yeah, you know, like as a producer, I feel like you always have to be here, you always have to be there, you always have to be at the beck and call of artists. But at some point, I was just not really that, you know, I was just in my own zone, working with just people really, really close to me, like Olamide, Lil Kesh. Yeah.
It's very interesting that you talk about that, because the unhappiness question came to me because of a tweet I think you put out some time ago, and it's not very often that we see people talk about you know anything in regards to mental health. You talked about anxiety and how you're a shy guy and it affects you. Can you talk a little more about that and what it means now that you're no longer even behind the scenes and you have to consciously put yourself out more?
Yeah, so I always used to be like really, really shy. Like really, really, really shy. At first, like being young, I thought it was like a normal thing, but like, then my mom is a psychologist, you know, she studied, like she's a psychologist. I always used to see her like talking to people, like she's a proper psychologist. So I think she knew early that it was just more than being shy, you know, so because she always used to like build me, tell me this, how to relate with people and all of that kind of stuff, you know. So like along the line, I think I was getting better, you know, but then even growing up, I thought it was like, but it started getting worse at some point, you know, where I really find it hard to like be in gatherings. So if there's so many people here, I'd rather pass through the back door, you know, all of that. So like, I feel like, yeah, to some extent, like it made me deprive myself of a lot of things, you know, like, because I didn't want to be in some certain places. I didn't want to, I didn't have the courage to do some certain things and all of that. But like I always say, I believe everything works together for good still, so.
So how did you get over it? Did you have to go through therapy? Did your mom have to help you?
Yeah, my mom helped me a lot before. She helped me a lot with anxiety, trust me. Like anytime I'm feeling some type of way, I call her. She give me questionnaires. She has like psychology questionnaires. She give me questionnaires to fill. I don't know how she always does it. Then she calculate something and say, oh, this is how you're feeling right now. You probably need to take a break. You probably need to do this, you know. All of that kind of stuff, you know. And I just also kind of self-talk myself because like I have big dreams. And I just realized that I'm like, if you keep going like this, you won't get where you want to go. So you have to just snap out of it. So.
I think it's very important that you talked about that honestly on social media, and because I wonder a lot about artists here and people in entertainment generally. A lot of us know these people as friends outside of the industry and know people go through things. And I wonder, do you ever talk to your colleagues to say, you might be going through something? Because sometimes pressure is another thing. People constantly trying to keep up. And it messes with their head sometimes. Do you have those kind of conversations one-on-one?
Now, the problem is like, I feel like we're in the kind of society where like, it's really hard to talk about these things. No matter how close you are with your guy, there's some things you just, I don't know. I don't know why, but it's just like a norm in the society now where we can't just talk about, or we just feel like, you know, maybe we don't want to seem as weak or, so most times people keep it to themselves and then it like messes up the whole, I don't know, but it's really hard to have these conversations, you know.
How are you doing now with the anxiety? Is it still a constant sort of?
I would say like I'm way better now because like I'm way better, but sometimes it's still like just, you know, it's like
it still jumps out.
It still jumps out, you know. Sometimes moments of like being unsure about things on Saturday, a lot of moments like pop out like that where I just have to self-talk myself and be like, yeah, you can do this, just, you know. So, but like I'm getting better.
Good to hear, man. Let's talk about this transition now that's going on, because a lot of producers are starting to do this, and for a lot of us watching, it's like maybe they don't feel like they're making enough money as producers. So let's start segueing into doing music. SARS, Fields, you are now doing it as well. Is money the real reason?
Well, for me, money is not the primary reason. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously, as an artist, you make more money than being a producer. Obviously, but that is not my primary reason, you know. Like I said, even before I started producing, I was always rapping with my guys. This is something I was always doing. I just kind of just put it on the side unconsciously because I found myself majorly like being a producer, you know. But like to me, it was like where at the point where like I stopped connecting with people, I just wanted to be in my own space and all of that. I started making more of my own music. Because, you know, when I was like really into producing for people, I kind of just put that aside. But when I was just in my own space by myself, or just me and family, or just me and my like guys, I started creating more of my own music, you know, because I started spending time with myself, having time to create my music. And I realized I started enjoying it all over again, you know. Like I was like, oh, this is not bad, you know. Like it just kind of started like all over again, you know. So I was like, why not, you know. I love challenges, so I like to like take on new things.
You prefer that to just producing now?
Yeah, I enjoy why have a gift when you can't make use of it? You know, I'd rather like give it a try, see how it is, you know.
When did this transition happen? Was it like this year, last year? How many years ago did you say, you know what, let me
I don't really have a time
explore this artist side of me?
It just gradually happened, you know. When I started recording music, at a point I never used to play my music for anybody, you know.
So you just had all these jams?
I just had songs on my phone, you don't understand. Then later, gradually, some artists I used to work with, I'll play for them, I'll give some of them some, you know, they will record. Gradually, I started playing for more people, they were like, just making sense. So it was like a gradual thing, till last year, I got signed to Chocolate City, because they heard my music and they wanted us to work. Then at some point, I was like, gee, is this what you want to do? But later, at some point, I was like, yeah, why not? Why, you know, why not just jump into it, you know?
Has it been easier or tougher than you thought?
It's best of both worlds. I mean, it's sweet. It's a sweet journey, can't lie. But like, the journey is not easy either. Like, but I don't think anything comes easy. So I love a challenge. Like, I'm that kind of person. I love challenges. Like, because I believe somehow I will scale through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Why did you need a record label? Record labels, I'm not saying they're bad, but you have a lot of people who say now, well, why do I need one? A lot of indie artists exist out there.
Well, for me, like, it was a whole new journey, you know, like that I didn't feel I could do on my own. Like, if I really wanted to do it the way I wanted to do it, I just felt like I can't do it on my own. And when the whole everything happened with Chocolate City, I was like, why not? You know, like, I mean, probably if it didn't happen, I would just, but like it happened, and I was like, okay, I always know that, like, where I want to take this to, the level I want to take this to, like, I don't feel doing it on my own could take it to that level, you know. So when it all happened, I was like, okay, yeah, probably everything is happening together for good.
Yeah. Do you have a body of work coming? What should we expect?
I have a lot of bodies of work.
What's coming this year?
Well, this year, like, after my EP that just dropped,
Yeah.
Love Is Not Enough, Dada, Normally, I have like a lot of songs recorded that I'm still like trying to churn out, you know, and hopefully there's another project on the way, you know. But even besides that, I have a lot of records that I'm definitely excited to share with the world, and I hope and I believe, you know, they're gonna like embrace.
I mean, based on the ones you've dropped already, I think we're all waiting and excited for you. So well done, man. Finally, before we go, I mean, you were, like I said, you were on the stage of Big Brother performing, and I remember girls wanted to tear their hair out. What's up with your relationship life? Because as an artist now, it gets even harder, right?
Yeah, but like from time, I've never really been a commitment guy like that. I'm not saying it to sound corny or to sound, but like I just really don't feel like I'm like, you know, when you're in a relationship with someone, if you're in an actual relationship with someone, it's like you're sharing so much of yourself, not just, you know, giving that person like a part of you, being responsible for a part of that person also. And I don't think I'm ready for that commitment. I feel like I have.
So there's nobody or there's people?
Huh?
Which of them?
Well, like, how do I explain this? Okay, so like, when I say people, I'm not saying people like, I'm not saying I'm a O, or I'm not saying I'm a fornicator, you know. But like, I just believe that my own ideology, I feel like at this point, I'm open to like, or I'm more open to like having, rather than committing to one person, I'm more open to like having like a
crew of people.
You know, where like I'm being honest, you know, when I'm like, you know, like, cause I like women. Everybody likes women, except we all want to deceive ourselves. Like, I'll see a fine girl today, she's fine. I'll see another one tomorrow. I cannot deny that this one is fine. I will only be lying to you if I'm telling you that, oh, I love you, and you are the finest in the world, and there's nobody finer than you, and you are this, it's a lie, you know what I'm saying? So probably one day, I don't know, maybe probably.
Okay, so for now, you're saying basically there's people.
Yeah, for now.
For different reasons.
For now, yeah, I just feel like, you know, different people make you feel different type of ways. Yeah, so like, there are some people that make you feel like this, so like, depends on, you know, and I feel, I'm also like that to a lot of people. Like, sometimes when you need to talk, you could call me this. Doesn't mean this person can't call me when she needs to talk or when she's going to, you know, like, I mean.
Do these people know each other?
Some actually know each other. I mean, it's a big word. I feel like that's why we're in the world, to spread love, you know. It would be selfish to take all of this love and give to one person, you know.
Girl. Interesting. I mean, I can't knock it. Whatever works for you, and it's interesting that they know each other, and you know, everybody gets what they can from you, like, and you give what you can to everybody.
Yeah, rather than.
How many are they? 3, 2. You're talking to your guy. Just tell me.
I know. Yeah, but I mean, there's a couple, and like, I mean, everybody's good. Like, I mean.
And there's room for more.
There's room for more. Can't lie, honestly. Like, cause I mean, that's life. Like, I feel like if I meet somebody today and I feed off the vibe, and the vibe is right, and we're like the energy is right, you know, like you don't know what you and this person will come out of this tomorrow. So why just put that aside? Because you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I always like to be open with everybody, because, like, okay, tomorrow now you might. I definitely know I'm not getting married to anybody soon. Tomorrow you might meet the love of your life. So it won't be as if Jiggy, but you said that Jiggy, but you said, you know what I'm saying?
Or you get married to all.
You know.
Thank you very much, Young John. Looking forward to all the great things you're doing. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you. I'm a fan
You're definitely
too.
killing it. You killed it as a producer, killing it as an artist.
Thank you.
I wonder what's next. Maybe one day we'll see you inside a movie.
I've actually done a movie.
Oh, I said it. Or comedy.
I don't
That
think
one
I'm
is too
funny.
far. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
We'll take a break now and we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Teasing me, now it's time to show and prove.
You're welcome back to the show. It's time for us to talk culture and everything around that with peace and all of that. I have here with me a very special guest, Akshay Jain, Director, Art of Living Foundation. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
When I think culture, Nigeria, of course, comes to mind, but a few other countries come to mind, and India is definitely one of them. And I know your foundation has its roots in India. Tell us why you're here, first of all.
So I've been in Nigeria for 11 years.
Okay.
And I do business. I have a software company which I run. But then my main objective of being with Art of Living Foundation is to see how we as individuals can spread the message of peace. You see, when it comes to culture, every country has their own nuances. When you talk about Nigeria, you talk about India, we have so many similarities.
Yeah.
At the same time, we have so much of diversity. Like here, when you talk about Nigeria, there are 6 geopolitical zones. And then further going down, there are too many cultures, and then dialects change, languages change. And the same thing in India. We have more than 32 main languages, and then we have dialects. So there is so much of diversity in culture. And then between countries, there is so much diversity. So one of the things that Art of Living has been doing is to see how we can unite as one family, make this world as one family, where there is no violence, there is no conflict, and we still exist in our own cultures. So unity in diversity is what we would like to propagate. And a lot of work has been done in India and across the world, including Nigeria, where if there is conflict, if there is stress, we work with individuals to see how, as an individual, we can lead a healthy, stress-free life.
Yeah.
And once an individual is healthy and stress-free, it propagates in society. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you because it's very timely now. I mean, in Nigeria, we're going through quite, a time. Not very, very interesting for a lot of people. A lot of it is also sort of tribal and culture based,
Yes.
With a lot of the differences suddenly coming to a head, and people are trying to, find a voice for themselves. So many things have been tried, whether it's military force, whether it's dialogue. How does a foundation like this help a country that is, like you say, so diverse and sometimes so different, but it's still one? What does a foundation like this do to let Nigerians understand, that culture can actually bring peace in a place like this?
The basic message is that of love. So love unites. As human being, if you're sitting here and you hear that something went wrong in North, for example, there's a bombing, your heart melts. You don't like it. You don't like to hear for it. Why? Because somewhere you're connected as human being. As human beings, we are one. We don't like to hear any violence. So Art of Living's basic principle is that if there is conflict or if there is stress, if there is violence, that means we are not grounded in peace and love, and stress is one core reason. So we work with individuals, and when there's those individuals, they get a sense of peace, they're able to then propagate that, and that's how nations will change. It starts from the grassroots. It starts from an individual, and then it spreads. it's a ripple effect there.
Yeah. So I know you have a cultural festival, a culture festival coming up from the 19th to the 21st of August here in Lagos. What is that supposed to achieve? Who's coming? Why should anybody care about this festival?
So as you mentioned, the founder of Art of Living, Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar, he is coming to Nigeria for the first time.
Oh, okay.
And it's been 41 years of Art of Living on this planet. And in these 41 years, Gurudev has been instrumental in reaching out to more than 156 countries. So today, Art of Living has a presence in 156 plus countries.
Oh, wow.
And why is that happen? Because it appeals to the human nature and human heart. And when there is something so dear to you, which is peace and happiness, people subscribe to it. So Gurudev has been honored by various nations because of the work he has done. For example, one of the things he did was in Colombia, where 52 years of armed conflict came to a knot after his intervention between the guerrillas and the government. So he has, there are so many exemplary things that he has done in regions like Colombia, India, Iraq, different belts in Middle East, that I think it's the right time for him to come to Nigeria and maybe put that spark of love which goes across the country, and we see a change coming in. Everybody says we need change. So I think this is apt time. And when it comes to how to do that, so you see, Gurudev believes that there are different things that unite people. So for example, business. So when it comes to making money, you don't see that you're from north or east. You do business together as one. Same thing is culture.
Yeah.
Right? As culture, when it comes to celebration, you may bring a northern, cultural performance. You can bring from anywhere, and we celebrate as one. So we are doing two main events. One is a business leaders roundtable with the topic of building emotional resilience, which is very much required to go through the turbulent times. And second is a culture festival, where there'll be music, dance, celebration, and we'll talk some good things about how to uplift human spirit and meditate for peace in Nigeria. So I think it's important that those of us who really want to change, let's experience that change within us, and then it will go out in the society. So let's come together and join hands to bring this change.
It's very interesting that you say it's been on for 41 years. It's coming to Nigeria for the first time. Finally, it's our turn. But what would you want to see achieved at the end of this festival? What would be like a success for you?
I would say if we are all able to see as Nigerians coming together and saying, yes, we stand for peace in this country. And if we are able to get so the event is happening in Eco Convention Center. So if we are able to fill that hall and say, let these people stand for peace, I'm sure that is just a spark. This is a long-term process. Nothing happens overnight. But that is a good success for us, that yes, there are people who want to make a change and who want to see a change in themselves. And we are all standing together for that.
Yeah. So it's on the 19th to the 21st of August. Yes. Where?
So 19th at Eco Convention Center is the Business Leaders Roundtable, which is an invite-only event because of the number of seats that we have. And then the Culture Festival is on 21st, which is at Eco Convention Center, 4 p.m. onwards. Okay. So we close the doors at 4, and that's an open event.
Anyone can just walk in?
Anyone should register first. Okay. So it's a free, it's a free registration at www.artofliving.ng.
Okay.
So anybody can go up to this website, register for free, and just show that QR code and enter.
Awesome stuff. Can't wait for that. I'm very
you
excited.
Should be there.
I'm a huge believer in the power of culture and what it does. I think I've seen it happen in many places around the world. So hopefully we can get a bit of that. So just go to artofliving.ng and register to be a part of it on the 21st. Thanks a lot for being here today.
Thank you. Pleasure.
And all the best.
And we look forward to seeing everybody there.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us. Like I always say, you can follow the conversation on Twitter. Please use the hashtag Rubbin Minds when you send us a message. I'll see you next time.